and today we are working on a radial weapon menu. We'll go with that. So essentially, I thought it'd be cool for the game that I'm working on to have a radial menu, and I was going to stream it on Saturday, but I thought it'd be kind of boring just to watch me follow someone else's tutorial. You know, because like, who wants to see some old dude just follow someone else's tutorial? Because I can't do math. Well, I can, just not like high level circle math. So I followed someone else's tutorial to create a radial weapon menu, and I'll link that in the chat. But I thought it'd be good to show you guys me hooking that up to an actual weapon menu. Or actual weapon manager. The one that we did in the tutorial is pretty similar, so we can take the weapon wheel and actually connect up all the UI elements to the weapon manager. I don't know, I'm doing it live obviously, so I haven't practiced this. We'll see how we go. I think it should be pretty seamless. I also need to fix up some stuff here. Just give me a second. Refresh. Activate live plus public. I gotta get my chat working, otherwise it's not gonna show up on screen. It's not working. Why isn't it? No, don't delete. Don't click that button. What am I doing? Just close it. Oh, an error occurred. Okay. I think I'm okay. Hang on a second, guys. Actually, let me just fix the chat and we'll be good to go. Minimize everything. I've got way too much stuff open right now. Social stream. Activate source. Activate. Oh, it's straight up broken? Oh no, it's gonna work. What's going on? We might not have YouTube chat. It is what it is. Delete this. Nothing is set up. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I'm honestly not too sure. And I haven't set up my monitor either, so I can't make sure the stream's not effing. So we'll get that going. So yeah, and also like the regular chat's not working either. Jesus, nothing is going. Hello. Hello. Press this button. Yeah, we love like boomer tech issues. First things first. Where's that? Awesome. Click this button. Okay. Now I can actually see the stream. Make sure that it's not dying. I guess if I go to the restream chat, then I can see the chat there rather than using OBS, because OBS seems to be broken. And honestly, I'm not too sure, but we'll roll with it. We go to desktop chat. It actually is called no chat, but like it's not really. It seems to be working. I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, that's not quite lined up. Let's just move this to the right. Nice. Okay, cool. Everything's in its place. And we'll see how we go. So where are we? What the hell am I talking about? I followed a tutorial by Squadron Studio in order to create a radial weapon menu that is somewhat, I guess you would call it procedural generated. It's all done by code, and the more elements you add, the more segments that you have in the circle, and the middle section is sort of the current weapon, I guess would be, well, I'm going to make it that, but it's like the default option. So this is a really good tutorial if you're looking to make a radial weapon menu. It, however, just covers the creation of the UI. It doesn't cover actually hooking that up to something, which is what I'm going to do here. So this is a really good tutorial to follow if you're looking to create something like this. And let me just go to the dashboard, and I'll just paste that in to restream so I can pin that up. But of course, can I just like hide that menu? Actually, YouTube is the worst. Anyway, I'll pin it in Twitch chat. All right, so that's what we've got at the moment, and my challenge is going to be like hooking that up to the UI. So we're going to do that. It looks like the chat is working too. And yeah, we'll see how we go. So yeah, I'll turn the music down a little bit as we go into this. And yeah, cool. All right, so the first thing that we want to look at is essentially what the code does here. Now, the code is mostly covering the graphics, so the UI elements. So we're just doing an entire draw. I'm not a huge fan of doing this whole like mouse collection and redraw stuff within the process function, but we're going to roll with it for now. And if we have any issues, then we'll deal with it there. But for now, that's what we're doing. And essentially, we're setting the selection to be just an integer, which refers to an index of the array. So every time you're hovering over a section of the selection wheel, you are going to be setting that selection to be that integer, which refers directly to an array, which is, in my case, going to be weapon slots. This is not something that came from the tutorial. This is just me knowing in advance that that's what I want to use, because we pass them off to the weapon manager. So here it is here. It's obviously very basic, and nothing happens when you click. But we have it now, and we can collect that information. We're setting the selection, so we can basically, when that left mouse button is clicked, we can check for what the selection is. It'll be interesting to see how we can get that information without continuously checking for it, but that, I guess, is a part of the challenge. The first thing is I'm realizing is I don't have any art to go with this, so I might need to quickly create some, which should be fine. I'll just jump into Blender, or even if we just make some really scuffed stuff in will I use Illustrator? Not Illustrator. What's it called? Inkscape. Inkscape is really good for this kind of stuff when you're creating. So I made actually, oh, wrong button. I made the this pistol icon. I'm pretty sure I made this in Inkscape. I just traced over another, like an actual pistol, and then that was it. That's done. I believe, if I'm going to be consistent about it, hey Slacks, how are ya? Welcome to the stream. I believe the texture is 120 by 120. So if I can create a couple of 120 by 120s, that's also a tool script. I don't know about that. I guess it's good for feedback, but I don't think it needs to be a tool script long term. I'll probably turn that off, to be honest. Okay. So let's get into Inkscape and just like start a new document. I don't really like Inkscape that much, but for creating like a really basic icon, I think it's fine. Maybe I should just do it in GIMP though, because this is like a pretty tough piece of software to use. It's gonna look better. Actually, changed my mind. I'm gonna do it with GIMP because it's gonna be faster. Typically, I would use Inkscape for these kind of things because it is just a little bit better in creating basic icons like that. But we'll go with GIMP for the ease of. I'm really familiar with GIMP versus not that familiar with TJ's creation kit. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. And I guess we'll go like this. We are doing pretty good. We are working on a, I guess, yeah, that looks pretty good. We're working on a Radial Weapon Menu. I'm just creating a couple of icons because I didn't have any in advance, which is pretty poor preparation on my part. But that's okay. Add alpha channel, and then we can just delete everything. We'll just make some scuffed ones to help us out to get the functionality. So, and this is way too big. Let's just make it 5 pixels. That's good enough. So for the rifle, I guess we'll just go like, yeah, this is a rifle, yeah. How did the attachment system go? Yeah, it's pretty good. It works pretty much how I intended. I just need to like flesh it out a bit in terms of like how. So I need to build out the game a little bit because there's obviously nothing to interact with. So it's very much like an idea that will work, but it's just nothing at the moment. Does that look like does that look like a rifle to you guys? Oh my goodness. Yeah, the add-on system, like 100% pretty much ready. It just, I need to make more game for it to be tested, if that makes sense. Yeah, this is a scientifically accurate M4. It needs a little finger trigger. Oh, you know what it's missing? It's missing the ammo. That is one thick rifle. Yeah, you're right. Let's just do that. That's totally a rifle. Okay, export as, and we'll go to I think I forget the name of my project. I really need to rename the folder. I'm pretty sure it's FPS template. And then we'll go to player controller, hot assets. We got the selection wheel. I actually don't know where the pistol was like that's an Aussie rifle right there. Yeah, 100%. We did make one time, right? I remember people talking about it. I guess it is a hot asset, right? I'm going to create a folder for like weapon icons. And we'll just call this one rifle. Okay, I don't need to. Actually, I'll create a new layer. I'll be a good person and create a new layer, and I'll just call it shoddy. And here we go. What does a shotgun look like? I remember in the video I did for like shotguns. Goose Fat, how are you? What's happening? Yeah, the video I did for I think it was spray patterns. No, there's just a shotgun video, right? And it's like the shotgun I drew is like so atrocious. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. What does a shotgun look like? I suppose it's like a bit like this, and then there's like a bit here that comes down. Yeah? Nah, I'm not into it. Let's go straight, and then down, and then angle, straight, and then a bit of an angle, and then we'll go straight again, and we'll do some subtraction rather than like, where's the fill? Totally a shotgun, guys. And like this, right? In fact, I might take a look at the top there. As they say. Oh, maybe it's a little bit too skinny. Actually, 1 pixel. Let's go with 1 pixel. We're coming back to this stuff at some point. It's not final, obviously. Do I use an i5 or a higher? I believe I have an i7 12600 in this computer, which is pretty much like, it depends what you're doing, but if I'm like editing and stuff, it is very helpful to have like that extra power. Because like editing is pretty much all done on the CPU. I don't like most, the software I use, which is Kdenlive, doesn't really support hardware acceleration on the video card. So you have to like, you definitely need to have like a i7 or higher to do. I mean, you don't need to. I was doing video editing on an i5. It's just slower. Export as, we'll call this a shotgun. I should probably just open this so I can see who's chatting easily. Yeah, we'll roll. Alrighty. Okay, so shotgun done. I got the shotgun, I got the pistol. What other weapons do I have in the game? Hey, Gaming with Sarah, welcome to the stream. How are you? New layer. I think I'll do it like an AK-47. I've been doing dev on my old gamer laptop. The tools don't define the dev most of the time. Yeah, it's really just like you're going to be limited in some of your options, but at the end of the day, you can still do everything that you need to do. Sarah, we are making a radial weapon menu. So we have got a radial selection wheel here that we need to hook up. So it's fully functional at this point. We just need to connect it to the weapon manager, and also I realized create some art elements, because I created this lovely looking pistol, but that's all I had done at this point. And I need some extras, but I didn't make the rest of the UI elements. So I'm doing that now, and then we're going to jump into actually hooking it up. I believe I've pinned the tutorial I used to create this UI. I'm not a mathematician. I don't know any of this like circle math. Like there's a lot of like crazy circle math happening here in this draw function. We're doing like rads, tau multiplied by I, you know, all this kind of stuff. I just followed someone else's tutorial, but their tutorial didn't cover the actual hooking up of the weapons. So I thought that'd be like an interesting stream. So we're here doing that. Now, where is GIMP? Okay, so I was going to make an AK-47, which I'm kind of forgetting what an AK-47 looks like. I might need some reference material, because like I'm just going to stuff it up. Not that that's like super hard. Yeah, it's a little bit more. Am I a graphic artist? Definitely not. It's actually kind of funny. It was one of my first choices in school. I really wanted to be a graphic. I wanted to go to like TAFE, where I'm from. We call it TAFE. It's basically like a trade school, and learn graphic design. But my parents were like, you're destined for greater things. Go to university and learn how to become an accountant. And that's what I did instead. Well, they just wanted me to have like a degree, so I had to go to university, and for some reason I chose finance instead of anything arty. I don't know. I think it was a good choice. I'm not very good at this. But yeah, it was something that I've got a little certificate at home somewhere, because I was the top of the class in graphic design at graduation. Why can't I find the scale button? What is wrong with me? I should have just done this from the start. Just like take some. Let's flip it. Can we flip it? Just scale it. Actually, you know what? That was a little bit too big. Too small. Yeah, so like I did actually at one point want to do graphic design for a living. Very long time ago. Like we're talking 15 years ago. So it's not like I've done it seriously ever since. I dropped it as soon as I left high school. Flip horizontally. And that can be to a new layer. We can just, like, honestly, this could just be, you know what? Like if we go to colors and then to our levels, we could probably just like make this entirely white, you know? I mean, pretty close. Yeah, there we go. Honestly, good enough. I should have done that for all of them. That would have been a lot easier. Like, that's crazy. All right, so yeah, holy shit. That was so much easier. I don't even have an AK-47 in the game. I'm just trying to fill it out. All the other weapons are like really placeholder. Work smarter, not harder. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's basically defined my career. Sometimes it'll come back to bite you, but the rest of the time it's fine. I do have I think that's enough for now. Like the weapons in the game, let's have a look. We have very descriptively named weapons. We have a couple, but I mean, I'm going to replace all of this anyway. So this is actually the pistol. It does look like a pistol. It's all from Kenny. And this is what represent, to be honest, you pick this up now, you're going to get an M4. You won't get that weapon. And this essentially represents, excuse me, the AK-47. This represents the shotgun, and that's actually the rocket launcher. But we'll leave that one out because it's not, whatever. Yeah, anyway, let's move on to the rest of the thing. So, I do need to, the first thing first is how I'm going to do this is essentially the weapon manager holds all of our weapons that we have equipped. And so when you press, I'm thinking I'm going to make it the tab key. When you press the tab key, the radial menu will open up. And what that will do is it will show all the weapons you currently have in your possession, and you'll get to choose between them. So the weapon manager holds those weapons in something called a weapon slot. And that, I guess, will have the icons, and it will also, I mean, it's got everything else. It's got the name of the weapon. It basically has all the information we need to populate that UI. So that is what we're going to put those images into. Gizfat says, I was 15 and upwards, kill them. I believe it was 15s and upwards, kill themselves over voting in the CPU. The controller or the voltage in the CPU is screwed, and the i5 is up. I was 15. Over, dude, I don't understand. I believe voting in the CPU, the controller or the voltage in the CPU is screwed in i5 and up. So you pooped. i5 and upwards kill themselves from overvolting. Right. i5 and upwards from overvolting in the CPU. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I've had this one for 3 years. It's okay. If it dies, it dies. And it's not much I can do about it at this point. It's out of warranty. It is what it is. I'm gonna ride it out. I was really heavily considering a Ryzen, but that at the time that I replaced my computer died right after COVID, right? It was like 2021, maybe early 2022. And like the CPU and the GPU prices were insane. And I had like a 13-year-old PC at that point, and it was really struggling to keep up with some of the work that I was trying to do. So yeah, we got that replaced. And it is what it is. So it was like Ryzen, but it was very expensive, or like the latest, like, what was it? Lake? Something Lake? I can't remember. They always got strange names for them. It was an i7 12700. When they released it with DDR5. I remember the graphics card shot up. Oh, dude, it was so expensive. It was crazy. They were like, you could get like a mid-range GPU for like $1,000. It's like, all right. I remember back in the day, you could get like, this is really dating myself. In 2009, I feel like you could get like I think I bought a 260. So it was when they were getting into like the 260, 360, 460, you know, went all the way up, and now they're up to like 4060, right? But I bought a 260 and it was like $290 or like it was somewhere around $300. But like the equivalent, like if you bought a 4060, it would cost $1,000, right? Maybe it might even cost that much now. I don't know. I haven't checked in ages. Like, what is it? RTX, they changed it, right? I mean, they're actually a lot cheaper now, but like, yeah, I feel like the 4060s were like so expensive. Probably not $1,000, maybe like 800, but I don't know. It was insane. Still make up the majority of the price for most computers. Yeah, 100%. I always stick with the mid-range. I've got an RTX 6750, and that's like after the fact. You know, it wasn't current when I picked it up. And so like you just stick a generation behind and it does enough. It's just like you're not going to be able to ray trace or anything like that. Anyway, so we've got the UI. All right, so I need to go to the weapon resources and add these images. If I go to the player controller under the scripts, you can't see. Oh yes, you can see this now because I changed my layout, so we can see the menu, which is great. Under my state machine, I've got weapon resources. No, that's not quite it. Where are the weapon slots sitting for this? Upgrades, no. Projectiles. You know what? It's actually going to need to be on the weapon resource because the weapon slots are created dynamically. So what I will need to do, the weapon resource is going to need to hold the image, and I'll just need to get it. It's in the weapon resource sits inside the weapon slot, so that's fine. I can make that work. Weapon state machine, weapon resources. Where's the script for that? Weapon resource, here it is. So let's get rid of that output. We are going to add we've got weapon stats, weapon behavior, weapon animations. I guess down here, I can create another group. UI elements. I'm going to need more than one probably at some point. I don't know. Where does the weapon behavior? I guess it's in weapon behavior because we got the weapon drop here. So it probably makes sense to put it right next to that. And so we'll go weapon UI, weapon icon. And we can reuse this, right? It's a texture. I've been mucking around with your weapon manager for my game right now. I'm trying to make a good unarmed state to change when no weapons are in the weapon stack without making an unarmed weapon. Yeah, it's a bit of a challenge one because like the way I did it, it's like, yeah, you would just create a weapon that doesn't have a weapon on it, right? Like it's just, I called it empty and it has no animations, right? It's okay, like it'll work, but it might lead to unexpected behavior. So yeah, I can totally appreciate that would be a little bit of a challenge. I think I got all of that. That should be down there. It's not that good for certain kind of games. It's pretty interesting because the game I'm trying to make, I don't think it's going to fit for, but that's just the nature of it. You know, you can't predict everything. So I don't think it's going to work for certain aspects of what I'm trying to do either. Which is part of the reason why I'm trying to make an actual project to really see what I need and what works and what doesn't, because it's easy to think about it in a contained environment. It's a versatile system though. Yeah, I built it with that in mind because the first couple of attempts that I had at making first-person shooters, I had a really hard time. And in fact, this goes back to when I first moved into working with 3D. I found that working with 3D very, very difficult when it comes to the art and the actual objects, like the program. And so like changing that stuff became really tedious, especially with 3D models, compared to like if you're in 2D, it's a lot easier to reference an animation or a sprite or whatever and change it out and update it and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't really matter. But for 3D, oh my God, it's a mission. And so it was like, I need something that isn't gonna care about the animations too much. And so that's why this was born. Okay, so now we've got the icon. We can go through all these different weapons and see. So Blaster Eye, I believe, is the... I'm just using... Yeah, I've done that too. Weapon icon. So weapon icon is here, and now we've got the hot assets. We can go to the weapon icons and we can drop them in. So we can drop in our lovely looking rifle here, and then for the other ones, Blaster L, Blaster N? I like how it's called Blaster L, but it's named Blaster N, and oh my God, that's actually really bad. I'm sure that's not a problem. Yeah, I don't know about that. It's interesting because at the moment with the way the system works, the name doesn't really matter anymore. It used to really matter, but I changed it because it's not very fun when that needed to matter. So what is this? This is the AK-47. It's not really an AK-47, but it represents that. And then Blaster L. Okay, so this is Blaster L. And what's this one? 936. This is the shotgun. I recognize it from the ammo. Shotgun. Scratch my face. Blaster N, which is the pistol, I believe. And that gets the nice image because, well, it's the resource icon. So this is the icon for the weapon resource. So I can recycle that. For this, and Blaster Q, which is the shotgun, and we'll ignore that. And there's also a melee weapon, which I'm conveniently going to ignore as well, because that's too hard for me to think about right now. I don't think there's anything in the game at the moment. So, now we've got the icons. How do we get this information as a selection wheel? There's not even any way to show the weapon selector. I think when I run the game, it's just there. No. I created the node, I didn't actually put the selection wheel inside it. So, I can add the selection wheel, which is this scene here. And if I go to 2D, let's just expand this a little bit. We will start to see it is very small, probably because the anchors of this are a bit strange. So let's just, why are you like this? All right. Oh, you know what? It's because I'm not calling the draw in the tooltip anymore. So it shows up in the middle. So that's not quite right because the anchors aren't quite right. This still needs to just be there. Right, that's a lot better. Good news is that it seems to work. It just is a bit funky. Obviously, we don't want it to work like that, but we'll work on that. So the weapon selector will probably need to have a, so this is the canvas layer. You have 1.4k points. I need to find a way to like, what do people, what's a way that you can reward people for having points? I don't actually know. The little Godot guy. How come they have like little fingers against them? I don't know. I don't know Twitch that well. I'm a bit of a Twitch noob. All right. So essentially we need a way to show. So what we have to do actually is to get access to the weapon selector. Now we don't really need the selection wheel. We can, I wonder if I can just make it like the, instead of having a weapon selector node, we have like just the selection wheel. I think I do like it inside its own container. But that does mean we'll need to get access to both, and I don't know if I want that. So for now, probably easier if I just make it a child of the canvas layer, and I delete that node. Points redeem, let me edit one for 24 hours. Oh, okay. So we'll get the selection wheel, and we'll just hide that obviously. And in 2D, I think that should still work. Yeah, it's drawing itself, which is great. And so I can create a function which is going to just be like show weapon select. Should make this a bit bigger so everyone can read what I'm doing. Weapon selection wheel. And you're going to want to pass in the weapon stack. Which I'm pretty sure still exists, but I'll have to check. I don't think it's anything, it's just an array. Points redeem, let you edit them. That's kind of cool though. My wife made those. Well, she made some of them. Some of them I just ripped from the internet. Okay, so now that we've got that, we can just go pass for now. Well, actually, I do know what I want to do. I want to go selection wheel dot show. Well, to be honest, there needs to be a function on the selection wheel. So we've got draw, right? And it's always asking for an array. I'm pretty sure this options array is used in this draw function. And this draw function is being called every frame. but when we show it, we need to pass in, we need to set the options array. So how we're going to do that is if we go back to the HUD, the selection wheel.show, before we do that, we're going to select the selection wheel.options equals the weapon stack, right? And this is an array of weapon slots as well, by the way. I think, can I do that? Yeah, I guess I can. Oh no, you got an ad. That's not good. So we'll pass that in, and we just need something to call this, right? We'll get to that. It'll just be a signal from the weapon manager. And we also need a function close weapon selection wheel. Now, the real challenge is going to be, what do we do? Commented a couple of days ago about this. Ah, you gave me the idea. I did see that comment on the other video, and I was like, I should do that. Close weapon selection wheel. Sound alerts. You can use points. Okay. I don't even know if I have sound alerts set up, but we'll roll with it. Close selection wheel. And so what we want to do is we actually want to go selection wheel.selection, which I believe is the, we want to get this indice, and we can pass it back to something. So yeah, that should work. Weapon selected. I don't have them. Yeah, I don't have any sound alerts set up. I don't have much set up in on my Twitch page at the moment. I need to work on it. Weapon selection, selected equals selection wheel.selection. And yep, then we just need to, pass on to weapon manager somehow. Probably emit a signal. It is the parent, so it's further up the chain, so calling it could just be an option. But probably emitting a signal is the best way. So really, I mean, we could call a function on the weapon selection wheel that emits a signal itself. It might be a little bit more correct. So we return this selection. We actually have a function called close that just hides it. We should probably just call that. That was a part of the tutorial. And then we've got show, which is fine, but I guess we could create a function here called open, for the sake of it, and it's going to take an array of weapon slots. Weapon array, we'll just call it that. We'll just put this down the chain, essentially. And I can't pronounce your name. Emin Arbor, hello, welcome to the stream. How are you doing today? So we'll go with an array, and it's the exact same thing as before, weapon slot. It's this thing here. Just copy this because I'm totally useless right now. It returns void, and we are going to set the options equal to the weapon array, and then show. Right, that makes more sense. So now we can call the function open. I don't know if that's selection wheel open, and then pass on the weapon stack. Right. Okay, I can help you on the weekend sometime, but I have school. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to elicit help from people that don't have time or are underage, because that's how every creator gets in trouble, isn't that right, Mr. Beast? What does it say? Expect the closing brackets after the argument. Excuse me? You know what? I just need to go like that. Gotta be careful with those people. Although the more stuff that comes out for him is like insane, the more I hear about it. But it's tough. Like, he was a kid himself, so I don't know. Weapon selected. You know what? I'll just say this. I'm just really glad that YouTube and Twitch weren't a thing when I was like younger, because like we're all guilty of saying some pretty unhinged shit when we're young, especially back in the 2000s, and I'm just glad none of it was recorded and put on the internet for everyone to see. Show, close. Yep, happy with that. Now we just need to call that function from the weapon manager. So we go down the chain. Camera weapon manager is here. So we also, before I even forget, I had no clue what a digital footprint was. Yeah, exactly. Like, that concept just wasn't around. Like, the idea, the internet was kind of like a bit of a joke at the time. It was like, it's not real. No, like we used to always say, no one knows you're a dog on the internet, because it was like, you could just be talking to anybody and they were just making everything up about themselves. Like, you couldn't trust anything you saw or heard. And then at some point, I guess, between like, I guess the late 2000s and like the end of the teens, it was like, no, the internet is real life. And it's like, okay, news to me, because I'm still used to it just being kind of a joke. So yeah, it definitely made the switch. I guess that just comes with everyone being online, you know? Like, cyberbullying just wasn't a thing. I mean, it probably was. It just wasn't a thing where I lived, because Australia basically didn't have the internet until 2004. Yeah, it was free Flash games. It was just like, I remember like someone showing me, oh, let's go on YouTube, you can watch funny videos. And it was like, you know, it's just weird joke videos that people made for fun. And like, you barely even understood what the purpose of it was. I guess I call this weapon menu. And it's going to be the tab key. All right, so we're going to take that. And in this code, we are going to go if not inspected. So basically, inspected is a pretty good little variable. I might need to change its name. Essentially what I'm doing here is when I inspect the weapon, the Italian stickman, the earliest YouTube video I remember, yeah, I'm trying to think what mine was, but it was so, like, I remember someone trying to show me it and I didn't understand the purpose of it. I don't know what it was after that, you know? It just sort of became a part of my life. But the stickman videos were definitely super popular. So yeah, we've got this inspected variable that we're setting to true when we inspect, right? Which is pretty handy because it blocks off any other input for the weapon manager. So I'd like to do the same thing for this. Whether or not I can recycle that variable and make it more general is a bit more of a question mark for me, because I don't exactly remember what it's for. A bit of a Shrek. So when I inspect the weapon, I'm setting it to true, and when I release inspect weapon, I'm setting it to false. Now, how do those functions get called? Oh, there's a function, there's a inspect if not inspected, release. Okay, so I think I can safely use that same variable. I'll probably need to change its name from inspected to like probably I don't want to say paused, if not busy. With that. So if it's not busy, then we can do anything else, but busy equals true, busy equals false. Right, awesome. So inspect weapon should still work, and I just need to create a function kind of like this, where, in fact, I'll do it right above here. So show weapon menu, and we'll go void, and we'll basically say we'll set busy to true, right? That's the first thing we know we're going to do for sure. And then we need to create a signal. We'll just do some pseudocode here. We're going to create a signal, or we're going to emit a signal. And that's pretty much all we want to do. And then for the other one, for hide weapon menu, menu, can't spell. We'll go to void, and we'll set busy to false, and we'll also emit another signal. In C, for this one, I've got like true and false. So for that UI element, I'm just using a Boolean to see what I should do. I can do the same exact thing. I can have one signal and emit it both times. It's kind of a bit messy. I might do two this time just to see how it feels. I'm experimenting a little bit because that way I can just call those two UI elements separately. So the inspection, I need to create a signal, one for the show weapon menu, and one for, we'll go with hide weapon menu. And this one here, what we can do is put a little bracket here, and we can say it is a weapon weapon slot array. We'll go with that, and it is going to be an array. You'll see why I'm doing this in a second, of weapon slots. Right? Okay, so now we can just emit that signal whenever we want to show it. We'll come down to show weapon menu. Oh, it has the same name as the declared signal. So we just put a little underscore in front of. What's going on here? Coming back to this error. Well, what is happening with this? Do I want to? Oh, I guess I'll put the underscores here. Whatever. Doesn't matter that much. Cannot find weapon. Jeez. Everything just broke just now. There we go. Here's that function that I created just now. Show weapon menu. Okay, so what we want to do is essentially emit that signal here, show weapon menu to emit, and I believe the weapon stack is still a thing. I'm making a very strong assumption, thinking that that is an array of weapon slots, and it is. Okay, an array of weapons currently in possession by the player. Okay, so I do know my code. So we can emit that, and then we'll like hide weapon menu dot emit, and that doesn't need to carry anything. But we're gonna have to get that information back anyway. So we've got the two signals. Let's hook them up to the UI. So we got show weapon selection menu. So we come to the little signal here, and what we can do is we can go on the show weapon menu signal, and the receiver is the canvas layer, and the method is this method here. We connect that, and it should just go through without issue. All right. And then the next one, we click back down here, and we connect the hide weapon menu, and we connect that directly to the canvas layer. And we just, oh wait, I forgot, I got to copy that function. We'll click on the canvas layer and do that and connect it. All right, so those are both completed. Now we could probably test this out. This is hidden, so when I press open, I think it should work with what is available. We only have one weapon. In theory, it should just not draw anything because I believe that's one of the rules. So we might need to pick up a weapon first for it to work. Let's just have a look. And so it doesn't do anything at the moment. I only have this weapon. Let's pick up another weapon. Still ain't working. Did I? You know what I forgot? I actually do this a lot when I record for like tutorials and stuff. I actually forgot to implement the code for the actual input. So I created the functions, I hooked up all the signals, and I never actually implemented hide weapon menu in the input event. So I actually need to check for that. So I need to go if event dot is action pressed. What is it, like weapon menu? Yep. Hide weapon menu? No, we want to show weapon menu. Right? Very important that you actually implement that function, otherwise it's not going to work. And then up here, if not busy, right? If event dot is action released, is it going to be close by? No, it's not. So let's get into weapon menu. Then we can call hide weapon menu. Okay, now things should work. And they do. And we can't shoot, so that's kind of like what you want. We can still walk around and look around. We're going to need to disable the mouse. Otherwise, this isn't going to work very well. But we'll work on that in a second. Let's pick up a couple of extra. So that's all the... And now it actually is broken, which is good. Not invalid function get size in base nil. So one of them didn't have an image. You know what? Oh, I've actually forgotten a pretty important step here. So we are passing the weapon slots on, but I made an assumption in this code that the weapon slot had the image. Now the weapon slot doesn't have the image anymore because they're kind of static. They're not meant to have stuff that doesn't change. The weapon slots are created on demand when a weapon is added, so we can't just rely on them to have the image. We need to actually inspect the weapon in that. So wherever I'm getting the image from, which is options.icon, it's actually going to be options.weapon.icon. Scam. It's not a scam, man. So we go to weapon slot. So this one that says icon, we can just get rid of that. It's not going to work that way. The other option is to set the icon in the weapon slot. But like, that's kind of annoying. Like, why would you do that? Just inspect it directly in the weapon resource. So let's go down to the weapon slot and just remove that. Right, so it doesn't exist anywhere. And what we want to do is literally just like copy the name of the weapon resource, weapon icon. So basically, and then the variable name for the weapon slot is weapon. So it's going to be weapon.weapon icon, or the function call there. So we'll come back to this and we'll change this to weapon.weapon icon. And that should work in theory. And anywhere else we're doing it, we need to replace with weapon.weapon icon as well. Which looks like it was just those. So let's give it another go. Okay, it's not crashing, that's the main thing. Let's collect up some more stuff. And we got another crash, and there were more places where it said options.icon. Okay, that's okay, we just replace them as well. Weapon, dot weapon icon. Let's grab those. It's because it had an I in it. That's why I missed it. So I should just be looking for the word icon to see if there's any options dot icon. Okay. Here we go. What's your opinion on the Australian government? Yeah, listen, they're pretty average, eh? I don't pay that much attention to local politics, to be honest. So it won't show the current weapon in the radial menu till you pick up another weapon. Yeah, that's correct. I should probably do like a check to see that if there is anything to display and not show it. Or show a blank. It should show it in the middle. Like this one looks like a Pokeball with an AK-47 in the middle, which is pretty strange, but that's what we're doing. If we pick up the shotgun, it'll look a lot better. So it's kind of what we're going for. We've got the shotgun in the middle and we've got the other weapons. The design might change, but you know, once we hook up all the signals, nothing else needs to. The behavior of the UI. No phone at school. Looks nice. Yeah, it's yeah, the tutorial I followed was really good. All right, so now we do need to block off the mouse movement because it's affecting the way the mouse is going. So if we just freeze that, it should be good. Now I don't remember where that information is, so I believe that's on the player character. The thing that I say about the Australian government, Solitary Elite, is that I think they it's like Australia's not really a democracy. I'll just say that and put my tinfoil hat on. Pokeball to Google Chrome logo. You just search. I don't understand Goosefat. So it won't show the current weapon in the radio menu to pick up another weapon. Yeah, I do need to fix that. No phones at school. There were no phones at my school either, but we just did it anyway. You know? Okay, so camera rotation happens in the player character for sure. Camera look, mouse event. So in order to disable that, I'm going to need to emit the signal to the player character, which kind of sucks. I could also check for that input in the player character. That's another option I have. I don't really like that. So I might just hook up the signal to the player character. I think that's the best way to go about it, and I'll create its own variable, and that way it can sort of just check itself. So I'll go back to the weapon manager and I'll connect those show and hide signals to the player character because I do want to stop that mouse movement. Hide weapon menu to the player character as well, and we'll come back to these. So it's relatively simple what we want to do here. We're not going to need the weapon slot menu. I mean, we could probably do it all, like as an aside, you could do all of this from the player character. You could emit the signal to the player character, and the player character could call on the HUD to show that information as well. It doesn't really matter, but that would be an option. Never sets remarks on file speech to my text strike. You just make it search through all the files. What do you plan to use to make the game levels? I don't know. That's probably the hardest thing. Like the game level, like I'm not a good level designer. If I think it's fun and worth it, I might enlist the help of someone else. It depends. Like it just like what I want to do is just see if I can find a format of gameplay that's fun. And if I think people like it, then maybe I'll get some extra help. We'll see. If maybe it's not, like the real test is going to be like the prototype. If I think people like the prototype, then we'll continue working on that. And that's when level design and like art will become really important. But before that, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so for this, I'm literally just going to make a variable called hold camera. Goose gun. Yeah, I do need to make the goose gun. That's got to go in the game. Is equal to false. So essentially, what we can do is, before we call the camera look, before we do any of this stuff, the thing with cameras and the way that they move in terms of mouse input, we might get some unexpected behavior. If not hold camera, or actually what we can do is just go if hold camera return. And then we'll just go and do everything else, right? And then for this, we just go hold camera true. Hold camera equals camera. True. Hold camera equals false. We'll just go with that. That'll work for now. Probably better if I just do the entire thing from the player character. Let's give that a run, see how it feels. It does work. Now let's see how this goes for actually like selecting weapons. Let's pick up. So, you know what's it's kind of a bummer. What we can do, I don't want to show the mouse. That's the thing. I think it's cooler when you don't show the mouse. So the way the mouse is set, let's make this a little bit more readable in the player character, is something called mouse mode captured. Yes, it is. And so it's basically always set to 0, I think. And what I can do is I can change it to like hidden or something like that, so that you can still get the mouse movement to select the thing you want, but like you can't. Captures the mouse will be hidden. Its position will be locked at the center of the camera's manager window. If you want to process the mouse movement in this way, you need to use mouse event mode motion relative. Maybe that's an option. That's why you read the docs. So it's like mouse input event mouse motion relative. So if we go back to the selection wheel, what am I using here to get the get local mouse position, right? Worked for that, but maybe we just need to get relative mouse position. Yes, maybe. I didn't do this. This is not my code. So like, do I think it'll work? Maybe. It's basically going to be the same as event.relative, right? What's the function call to get that? Like get mouse relative? I actually don't know. Get local, get global. Where is this coming from? Canvas item. Now, I did say at the top of this that I wasn't a huge fan of this being called in the process function. So perhaps I need to just change the selection wheel in terms of like understanding this. Like we can still call Q redraw, but rather than figuring out what the selection is in the process function, we do it in the input function and we test for event.relative. Would that work? That's the question. If I copy this and I create a function called get mouse selection, it doesn't take anything. It doesn't need to return anything really. It could, but I just paste all of this in here. There we go. And I can just comment this out for a second. Because get selection. And right up at the top here, because I like to put these at the top, I can go func input event, and I can call that function, right? And I will actually need to pass on the event. Get mouse expected 1, and I haven't set this project up to do type hinting. Really? 1 minute ad, dude, what the heck? Do I have control over that stuff? Warn? Is it in the, oh no, it might be in the event, in the advanced settings. 1 minute ad. I don't know what to do, man. I'm sorry. Is it in the editor settings? Type, behavior, type, tabs, completion, add type hints. There we go. I do like my type hints these days. It does make things a lot more readable, in my opinion. You're free, welcome back. Okay, so it's still unhappy because this is like meh. Okay, so now it takes the event and instead get local position. I should be able to get event.relative, right? I actually don't know relative what. Right, this is the exact same thing, right? What that'll look like. Give it a go. Why not? Oop, it's not happy. Invalid in input key event. You know what I forgot? I forgot the whole check that we do here where we say if event is event mouse motion. That's pretty important. So let's just add that in. Picking up some weapons. Still not really working the way that I'd want it to. So we might just, for now, for the sake of brevity, move on and make the mouse captured. Because what I'm guessing is that this is just a very small integer. In my experience, I have looked at this before. It's sort of print mouse pause. Let's have a look. It's just it's normally just like a really small number. Yeah. I don't know. It should work better than it does. I'll say that. Because we are just getting the length of that. What if I normalized it? Do you think that would help? You know? Returns the length and the magnitude of this vector. Do you think it would help if I normalized it? I don't know. Because I feel like this should work. You know what it is? This is just getting the local mouse position and then seeing what it is. Fpos mod. Yeah, like how is that any different, right? No, well, it wouldn't really help if I normalized it. NA Games, welcome to the stream. We are doing sensible, mature things, unlike yesterday. What can I get out of input? I can get velocity. I might modify this. I don't have anything off the top of my head. I kind of have this idea where it should detect the direction that you're going and like be able to get a number from that. But feel like it's in one of these functions somewhere. You know what I mean? I just don't know where. So I might just release the mouse. It's really not what I wanted though. pressure relative? I want to get the direction of the mouse. If that makes sense. So I have the option for relative, the mouse position relative to the previous position at the last frame. Realistically, that should really be it, right? That is the direction of the mouse. Mouse position relative to the previous position. No, is only emitted when the mouse moves. The last event won't have a relative position. Since the camera holds and the mouse is released, it should be fine, right? Yeah, it will be fine. I just think it's funner when it's like, it just automatically detects and doesn't show the mouse. But like, yeah, it's fine. I will just try normalizing that vector to see if I get something out of that. And then we'll move on. Dot normalized. Although I don't know if I need mouse pos dot length if I'm doing normalized. Whatever. It doesn't even work now. Like, I'll work on that. I just need to like wrap my head around the math. But yeah, let's just release the mouse for now. So what we'll do is we'll just reset this. And we'll just comment that out. We'll move on from this because it's not worth getting into right now. All right, so in the player character, what we want to do is if hold camera, actually we'll do it in these signals. So essentially what I always do is I just look at this little section of code up here. If mouse mode, we want to set mouse mode caption. Can you explain what you are wanting to do? I want to detect from like the center of the window, the direction that someone is pulling the mouse. And I know that it should be relatively simple, but I'm not like that good with vector math. So I'd have to sit down and actually figure it out. And that would be very boring. So I'm not going to do it right now. Keep it hidden and make, yeah, I was going to go mouse mode hidden because it will work, right? Hidden confined. Mouse mode confined hidden. Let's try that. And then on release, we want mouse mode caption, right? And that will pretty much work how we want it to. Like this. The only thing is like it can get a bit disorientating, but yeah, it pretty much is like getting back to the center is kind of hard. Okay. So that pretty much works. It's not the most pleasant experience, but it communicates the point. So what if we wanted to switch to the AK? Nothing happens right now. What do we do? So we've pretty much got a lot of errors in the debug. Oh, now it's warning me about all the static types. Yeah, get viewport rect size 2 divided by mouse minus mouse position. Okay. Yes. Probably that would work. Right click to the center. Right click to center. Yeah, we could do that. We'll worry about that later. It's good enough for the example that I'm trying to create. Am I still centered in frame? I'm like sitting on my chair like a weirdo. I have terrible posture. It'll probably be a dot product math equation from the center. Yeah, something like that. I know it's out there. That's how yeah, I think NA games, you got the right kind of idea. Like, I think that's it. But yeah, we'll do that off stream. Okay. Right, so where are we? In the UI. We are getting the we need to go to player character. In the UI, we have, I didn't want to pop that out. We get the weapon selection wheel close. Realistically, I think the weapon selection should emit the signal. So we can connect that signal. So basically you can go to the selection wheel and create a signal called onSelected or something like that. And it will emit a weapon resource. No, sorry, it's a weapon slot. Right? So when we close, rather than returning the selection, we don't really need to return it. We'll just onSelect emit and selection. Options. Because it is an array, selection. It's like mad because it's like, you return an int. We don't return an int anymore. Sorry, my friend. Let's go back to the HUD and we just need to call that function. And then the last thing we need to do is basically connect up that signal to, we get to the selection wheel and we've got onSelected, and we connect that to our weapon manager, which is not in the canvas layer. Weapon manager. Okay. So we have our function here on selection wheel selected. Now, how do we actually get it to like get selected? So currently we have a couple of functions realistically. You could always release it, keep it hidden, and make the selection relative to the mouse and current position relative to the center of the mouse. I think I already read that comment. Oh, I gotta scroll down. Jeez, sorry guys. It's pretty late over here. I'm gonna go shoot off. Hopefully catch you live again. So also here's a link to a terrible attempt at a devlog of mine. I think links are blocked, but if you drop it in the Discord, you should drop it in the Discord. Just put it in the promote yourself if you're still around. I don't know if you're still in the stream, but yeah, for sure, I'll check it out. I love watching devlogs. Okay, so we have. So basically when we are, where is the unhandled input, right? So we have this function called exit, right? And then you just pass in the slot number. That's basically all we need to do. Just call the switch weapons function. Yeah, literally it's called exit. It's kind of a bad name, but that is the function that we want to call. And it expects a weapon slot, who would have thought? So basically exit wants the next weapon. So I'm pretty sure I'm safe to just call that. Weapon slot. Weapon change, weapon slot. It's all about having the good infrastructure, and then that becomes really easy. This goes back to what I was saying in that devlog I made, where I just said, yeah, this template wasn't that great to begin with, because doing this like a couple of months ago would have been really hard. But now it's just like, yeah, it's a single function call. So let's give that a go. Could be talking too soon. Nah, it's just that easy. The issue that I am having now is that the current weapon in the center is not the current weapon. So I might need to revisit that whole like center is current, because center is still always the pistol. So what do we do there? I'm not, to be honest, I'm not that fussed at the idea of having something in the center, to be fair. Like I could just create a dummy and have everything on the outside. It might be a bit easier for me. But it works. Selection wheel. Whoa. Invalid. What is going on? Invalid get index weapon icon. This is no longer a tool script. Why is it going crazy like that? Player controller, HUD asset, selection wheel, selection wheel. Excuse me. Oh, it's stopped now. Only when I go to the selection wheel. I might need to reload the scene. Oh, I just reloaded the entire project. Didn't need to do that. Oh well. I think it's happy now. It was a tool script, but I didn't really see the need for it to be a tool script, if that makes sense. I totally forgot to come back and pin the tutorial I used to create this. I'll just pin that now. So I didn't make that. It was given to me by someone else. Because I don't, as you just saw before, I'm not that great at the old math. The game math is still a weak point of mine. For sure, because I just don't have it. Okay, so what I'm thinking is that we have a dummy option for the center, and we just leave it at that. Also, what happens right now if you select the same weapon? I'm a little bit curious. Let's pick up some weapons. So right now we've got the pistol. It just does nothing. So I guess I've got a check built in for that already, to not actually bother with a duplicate request. So the easiest thing for me to do, you have trouble with vectors? Yeah, well, the thing is, like, I just don't have that much experience with it. Some of the stuff I know pretty well, like the basics I know. It's just when you get into like advanced stuff or like just what to do, like I might need to stop and think for a second. Yeah, I would say yes, I do have trouble with specifically just game math in general. I'm just not wired for it yet, even after all these years. All right. So, what I want to do is basically create a dummy selection. I mean, I think and stop all the time. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty slow, to be fair. Yeah. I come up with a lot of ideas when I'm not actually at my computer. I think about it while I'm working. Just like I'll be doing boring stuff and just be like coding in my head, coming up with ideas to solve problems. But like, yeah, in the moment, sometimes I can get stumped on the dumbest things. Okay, so we have got an options array, and when we open, we add the weapons array. But what we can also do is right after that, we can go options dot push front. Interestingly, with this, if I don't have an image, it just like breaks. I've heard that boredom is required for creativity. Yeah, well, there you go. A weapon slot dot new. All right. I think that'll work, right? So just push a dummy one to the front. And then on hide, basically, if selection is equal to 0, then we'll just return out. This will work for now. I'll come up with a better solution later. It's like we're making spaghetti or lasagna. Yeah. I feel like it's more like you're just sketching on a piece of paper. You're not 100% sure of what it's going to look like at the end, but you're just doing like little strokes and trying to create a complete picture without like 100% knowing how it's going to look in the end. And so like you just sort of freestyle, and so we'll go if selection 0 return. And then I also need to account for the fact that it doesn't have a picture. So what we can do is we can actually check option 0. Oh yeah, because it's always drawing option 0 here. So I can actually just skip that, right? We just don't draw anything in the center. I think that'll work. We're about to find out. Yeah, that works. Right. Yeah, that's easy enough. It's probably what we can do is make the center radius a little bit bigger. This is why it was a tool script, so you could edit it in real time. I'll double that to 128. Let's have a look. I really got to fix that at some point. Yeah, we'll work on it. But it works. Oh, it crashed. Invalid get weapon icon. Huh. Okay, let's investigate more. I think it's got something to do with the change that I made. Yes, second time round. What happened? Weapon icon nil. I still need to check for that, because I'm not 100% sure why one of the resources would have no weapon icon. They should all have weapon icons at this point. Well, we can check the members. Container pause, locals, options. You know what it is? It's because I didn't get rid of that option 0. So I'm not handling that at the end. So what I should do is on return. See, I'm always pushing front, but I should actually like clear out the array when I close it. So I should actually go options dot clear, because it never actually resets. I think. Oh, okay. That goes at the bottom. Oh my god, that's actually pretty funny. It's like we're making spaghetti or something. Okay, now it's even worse. I don't fucking know. Hang on a second. You don't. Wait, what the heck? I'm gonna have to just add a check-in because I'm not 100% sure, and then we can just do some checks. This is the beauty of using someone else's tutorial, and also the beauty of calling key reader every single frame. So what we can do is probably just check if there is an icon. If. Figure out why the index is null. Yeah, that's the question. Part of me thinks it's not even going to be... Are we still in the for loop? Yes, we are. It'd be pretty funny if we weren't. That's the only time we're drawing with the options, right? Yeah. Yep. Yes, and I should probably be checking. Whoa. Invalid get index, weapon name on base. What? You need to check the index first only? Yeah, hang on a second. This is really strange behavior. Slot weapon slot dot name. Invalid weapon index name. Weapon slot. What the heck? Not. You need to check the get index first only, not the weapon dot weapon icon. Oh yeah. What the heck? Why did it crash here? Is this a classic like the name is wrong? Blaster M? I've had this problem before. I made like an entire video on it. That's actually pretty funny. You get banned. So, I think this is because I changed at the very start. I changed its name from something else. Yeah, that's right, Goose. I ban people. Nah, I wouldn't ban you though. Are just people that try to advertise in the chat. Alright, so I'm actually a bit stumped why it crashed just there. I'm kind of concerned, like I put something in the code that is like actually just wrecking everything. That one's okay. That one's okay. And this is okay now. And this never works the second time I open it, which is actually hilarious. Invalid get index weapon icon. Oh yeah, because yeah, you're right. Okay, I see what you're saying. In our games, I see what you're saying. The error is that there is no option I, but like, or the actual resource, because there's no, oh, you know what it is? Because there's no resource, right? Options. It's just a null weapon options. Like there's no weapon here, right? The thing is, that really should be, because it is always at 0. Oh, there's a second one there. And then it comes to, okay, so this is what's happening. I think I was right to clear it first because I've got 2 now. The weapon is null because the dummy one that I created, it literally has no weapon resource. And so it's just like, bleh, I don't know what to do, but it shouldn't get to this. That's the issue I'm having. Like it really shouldn't come to this point because, well, there's 2 now. So basically what's happened is when I push this, this empty one here, this weapon slot.new, I thought options.clear would be enough, but it's not. So realistically, this is bad. I shouldn't do this. But what I can do, I'm not drawing in the center anymore. So realistically, this should be fine. What I can do is just what was happening in the tutorial was that he was just subtracting one off options.size, right? If selection I is equal to I, or I in range 1, options.size -1. Oh yeah, okay, so I just changed this to 0. That should really solve my problem, rather than doing the weird shit that I was doing before. We're still missing a weapon. So we're not quite there yet. Let me just have a look at the code again. Make it simple, add an options function and remove options function to the start maybe. And Goosefat ate the code. No. Bump, 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 bump. What it should really be. Offset size, draw circle. We are doing start rads, end rads, mid rads. Why aren't we drawing all of them? I thought that would do it, to be honest. Too lonely here. Too lonely here? Yeah, we only got 5 viewers on Twitch. It's a quiet one. Draw polygon, points inner, points outer, points. I mean, how do you know it's not the back end stuff that is wrong and not the draw? I guess what we can do is we can put a breakpoint on show. What realistically, like the options menu is the one that should tell us. I know it's not, it's in the draw function because it was working before, right? So if we look at the weapon array, we're getting 4 options, right? 0, 1, 2, and 3. So we definitely have all of those to display. It's just a matter of actually getting them up there. And this was designed, it always drew the 0 option in the center. Now we've taken that out. And I thought because this was for eye in range 1 to option size, that it would work, but it's not. I'm thinking if I just remove this, it will work. And then we just roll with that. I've still got the flipping breakpoint on. Because the circle, like the radial calculations were based on the number of options to display. Here we go. Not quite right in terms of the arc, but we've got the icon. So we're making progress. This is what happens. This is like the classic lesson of why you write your own code and not use a tutorial. It's actually pretty interesting. I was going to just do it with pictures. I was just going to get a texture of a circle and that was going to be it. But then I found this and I was like, this is really cool. I want to use it. I want to shout out the person that made it. But I broke it. What am I doing? This is the other place where we are doing -1 and we just need to change it to not -1. I think. Some math I can handle. And that is the correct answer. Now the math, now the mouse is not actually working for the 4th option. And I'll have to address that. So how do we work out? And it's literally the same thing where we're just subtracting 1. I just have to take that out here. At least I semi paid attention to what I was doing last night. Not last night, on the weekend. There we go, now it's working. Actually, no, it's not. I don't know why. Oh, look, it's like selecting both. Interesting. Not quite there yet. If selection is 0 in a radius, right? Selection equals 0. You know what? What part of this actually handles drawing that? So basically this is the code for drawing that. Points per arc +1. I wonder. We just make a fake one that appears in the middle. You cannot secure juice. That's what I tried the first time and it caused a lot of errors. So I just went with modifying the code, which seems to be working a little bit better. We're making a little bit more progress. However, the selection... So the selection is determined by this. Mouse rads. Oh, you know what? I took it out of the wrong piece of code. That's the old piece that I was trying to work with the input. Yeah, the angles and stuff, it's like a lot, which is why when I saw it, I was like, nah. Okay, it still didn't work. Interesting. Invalid get index 4 on base array weapon slot. What? Wait, what? What am I in? Options? These are upgrades? Yeah, okay. Yeah, right. Get rid of the middle? We will eventually. Why did that happen like that? Weapon is empty. Weapon slot? Members. I actually don't know what I'm looking at here. That's a bit strange. But that was still related to that selection number 4 problem. So the 4th selection is still a bit of an issue. Everything else is working. It's just when I select 0 and 4 at the same time, that's not a problem. But if nothing is selected, you know what it is? This is actually number 4 selected. I've worked it out. Something has gone amiss though. Clodson Juka. Welcome to the stream. How are you? So something is a little bit off. Let's have a look. I'm a bit sus on this -1. I'm not 100% sure. Because these do the start and the end. No, it has to be like the one prior to it. That makes sense. Inner radius, outer radius. It's because 0 is a -1. I think the issue is some of this math, right? Because now I've made it so it starts from 0. I can be a negative integer, and it probably messes with this. I would say. That's my guess. Because it used to start from 1, it's now 0. So, do I need to fake it and say, like this is 1 to option size, options.size? +1. So that I loop through, but then, and that's fine for all this drawing stuff. So then do I need to add one here? Option size +1. I actually don't know. Oh, this is getting a little bit too over the top for me. Points per arc +1. And then for options I, maybe a dummy one was a better idea. It's really hot in my room right now. It's winter. Man, I just took so much stuff out too. I don't know if I'm going to be able to Control Z my way out of it, so. All the facts. I actually do want that. Now we're back to just drawing 3, and we're putting a dummy one. New. Which actually worked, but it was just the selection of the dummy one that was not going away. It basically crashes the second time round. So I'm guessing clear doesn't clear the You don't check for the icon, just the weapon maybe. What I need to do, no, because I need to, the issue is with this method, options.clear, oof, that was really loud. Holy shit, what is that? All right, we got a raid here, we got a raid. Welcome. Hang on a second, let me click over to Twitch. We got a raid, poor little pigeon, Prostio Cotlio, Radar. Poor little pigeon is raiding with a party of 3. Okay, I've figured out what the heck's going on. So, excuse me. Sorry, poor little pigeon. I'm a little bit slow on the uptick. I gotta click your name. How do I shout you out easily? Mod, warn, timeout. No, we don't want to do any of those things. Block, report, prime gaming. All right, little pigeon. Welcome. I'm just gonna copy and paste because I know the slash command. Shout out username. Thank you for raiding. Welcome. How was your stream? I'm going to snipe you a little bit. Nice. Nice.
All right. At long last,
well, we don't want to.
back.
Let's get rid of that. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, everybody. We are working on a Radial Weapon Menu. We're almost done. We're just working on a couple little bugs. He's pigeon, I'm pigeon, Burb raid. Nice. Oh, he's got to run. He's already dropped out. All right, that's all good. Well, I'll give him a follow anyway. Does the word pigeon mean something? Would be weird. I assumed it was pigeon. Wait, what? Little pigeon. I don't actually know. I'm assuming that's just like a... what's the word for it? Like a fun little name. Doesn't mean anything to me. Okay, so options.clear. This is the ultimate thing. I don't think this is doing what I expected to do. Clears the array. This is the equivalent of resize with the size of 0. So I would think resize with the size of 0 means that the one that we originally added is still there. It's like pigeon, but not. Yeah, exactly. So I think if I just like clear it out entirely, can I just eliminate everything? Clear is obviously not going to work because or, you know what? Like, more than that. Does it really just clears the array? These are equivalent resize with a resize of 0? Resizes the array to contain a different number of elements. If the array size is smaller than the elements is smaller, elements are cleared. If bigger, new elements are null. Returns OK on success or 1 error. Calling resize once and assigning new values is faster than adding new elements one by one. Reverses the order. I think that clear is leaving the option 0 behind. Size of 0 means empty. Why is it still there then after the other thing I need to do is also like this needs to be called multiple occasions, which is kind of gross. I don't like that. Because if option selected is 0, we still need to clear it. Print options. It's actually we don't need a print. Let's be real mature coders and put a breakpoint there. It's just gone. It's totally gone. We have no weapons. So here's the question. What is... Clear works. I put the breakpoint on the wrong line. Where's the pew pew? The pew pew is... It's here. Pew pew pew. it's just gone after that. Is this part not? What is going on? I'm really confused about like, setting this array and why it isn't picking up the new set of options, right? Because like open is being called and I'm setting the options to be equal to the weapon array. Why would you clear it? Because I've put the dummy one in and it's a problem. So I need to remove the dummy one. I guess I don't need to clear, right? I can just pop front. Like we don't need to be that extreme. But the issue is something else that I've noticed is that on subsequent refreshes, like when we pull it up again, that it's not displaying the array. So pop front probably will work better, right? But what happens when we drop a weapon? That is the next question. So that has solved the error that we're having. So now we've got the dummy one in the middle to sort of keep it from showing in the center. This is a bit off script, you know, like everything that I was trying to do or planning to make work with this is basically on. So everything is working pretty much how I want it to. But now I'm thinking, what happens when I drop a weapon? So let's drop this weapon, right? Number one, drop the wrong weapon, which is an issue in and of itself, but we'll worry about that later. I dropped the AK. Okay, it still works. And we've got two weapons. And then I drop that, and now nothing shows up. And I'm going to need to do something for this. So there's nothing to switch to, so there's nothing displayed, which is not very pleasant. But yeah, okay, so the other one is the AK dropped the wrong gun, which is, I wonder if that is present in make the dummy one hands. That's a good point. Just unequip the weapons. It's really not that hard. Hands are like, well, in my particular one, it's like, it would just be an empty weapon. It's like, what is, I think, do I have a null? I don't have a null weapon. So if I create a new resource, which is a weapon resource, no weapon. What am I thinking here? So, it will just be called, I guess we're just going to call it no underscore weapon. And the pickup animation will just be no weapon. Shoot animation will just be no weapon. Just make it all the same animation. Drop, out of ammo, melee, inspect. I mean, it was just an idea. Well, people have asked me about this, so I think it's worth demonstrating. You just go, no, it doesn't have ammo. No, it can't be dropped. Incremental reload. No. We'll see what breaks, basically. I'll just set all of this to 0. Blue to Bird, hey, welcome to the stream. Welcome back. So, yeah. You're late again? That's okay. That's what you can watch the VOD, you know? So, we got no weapon, weapon name, pick out that. I think... How dare you? I think the biggest issue right now is for the drop animation and like the change animation need to be different. We'll see though. Basically, what I've done in the past then is I've essentially just, in the player, created an animation, which is just an animation that doesn't do anything. So We can call a reset, doesn't work. But I can create a new animation just called no_weapon, and it has no keys. It doesn't do anything. And it'll just call that animation. Will it work with this current iteration? I don't know. It used to work, but I've made a lot of changes, so I'm not too sure. We can test this by going to the weapon manager and adding an element here and just creating a weapon slot and adding that to it. See what happens when we switch to it. It's not happy. Invalid get index weapon on base nil. So because there's no weapon in the... What? Hang on a second. Invalid get index base weapon on base nil? Where's the error? It didn't take it. It didn't take me to it. At what, on what line? Excuse me? Current invalid get index weapon? It's null.weapon? I'm having a dumb moment because I don't understand. Bullet point max weapons, bullet point spray profiles, that's fine. Shot tween null? Is there something that I wouldn't think that I needed to add, but is actually something that it definitely happened when I shot, right? Like everything is fine, it eventually crashes. Animation, Q weapon pickup animation. Invalid get index weapon. Current weapon slot dot weapon. On base nil. Why is it base nil? There was a weapon there. It was called no weapon. Interesting. Current weapon. Current weapon slot null. You know what this is what I was saying where the animations actually need to be different. Like they used to be like it didn't matter if they were the same. I've run into this a couple of times now. I spent like 2 hours debugging. It was actually horrendous. It was on stream. It was one of my first streams. It might have been my second stream. And it was like just 2 hours of banging my head against this error, trying to figure out like, why isn't it like crashing when you pick up the shotgun, I believe it was. And the reason was because the animation for the drop and the animation for the change were the same. And that was literally it, because like if it checks to see if the current animation is the drop animation and it does something different than the change animation. So I need to create another animation for the change or the drop animation. I'm not sure which one. I might just create 3 and make them all unique. Go with that. The animation player is under this. And we come to this and we go new. No weapon drop. I'm not a fan of making like an empty weapon this way. I think it's probably better if I create a state within the weapon manager that like exists for this, if that makes sense. But you know, this does work once we work out which animations we need to call that need to be unique. No weapon drop. Actually, no weapon drop. And we'll duplicate and call it no weapon change. Just to be on the safe side. Copy. And we'll try that. Still errors out when we shoot, because it cannot instantiate the projectile. So I probably need to put in some checks So projectile, projectile, it assumes that a projectile exists. But if one does not, what do you do? If not projectile. Or if projectile, right? Oh, right, I have to declare it. Okay. It needs to be current weapon slot dot projectile. That's how it needs to be structured. And then we can just, if it's true, then we can set it to be. This actually won't work either, because the projectile is a pack scene. Yeah. So I need it to create. Hang on a second. Let me think about this for a second. Get rid of this. So we've got a projectile, but if it doesn't exist, what do we do? Because if it tries to instantiate on one that doesn't exist, we get an error. Where are we using this? We're using it quite prolifically. If current weapon return, yeah, low projectile. Actually, that's a really good point because this is a very specific function. If current, I like that. If current weapon slot dot, what is it? Current weapon slot dot projectile. Will work. Very good point. Can we switch back to the other weapon? Yeah, we can. It's really slow because the animation's like a second long, even though there is no animation, but it does work. Yeah. Okay, awesome. And then I guess what we can do is in the selection wheel, we can just create like a preload for that, right? So we can have the no weapon. We can make it just a constant here. Const no weapon. And instead of pushing weapon slot.new, we can push that. The problem is then that this will always need to be this. See, this is a good idea, but if the weapon is not in the possession of the player, that sounds like a little bit of one of those rhymes. If the weapon is not in possession of the player, then it won't work. So, I mean, actually kind of doesn't work. But yeah, I mean, it's a good idea. I think what you do is you would make it so that the no weapon is the first weapon in the weapon slot. Then you'd get rid of all this push front, pop front, all this BS. Then delete the push. Yeah, you literally just said what I was going to basically go down. Is basically revert it back to the way it was. Make it so that the no weapon is the very first one. And then you go from there. Which will work. And to be honest, I did want to have like a no weapon option, so that's done now, I guess. We delete that because it can't be dropped. It can never be changed, so it's always going to be at the front, I think. And we just have to revert all of this. Oh, this stuff's already the same, right? We just basically we bring this back where it gets drawn in the center. And we also need to do a check to see if there is an icon. We can draw an icon. Bring GIMP back. let's cheat like before. That was a lot easier. I'm just going to do like a fist. I mean, people might assume that it was like you could punch, which you can't do. So maybe we just make it a hand. Open hands, yeah. Just one open hand is fine. Yoink. Copyright be damned. I'm going to trace over it anyway. New layer, new layer. Give me this white pen. I might invert the colors because it's going to be easier to see. Colors. Awesome. Steady, steady mouse. Can I do it in one click? That is the question here. How's your mouse tracing skills? Oh, not bad, not bad. Acceptable. No, I mean, that's kind of, it's okay still. Am I going to be a one-click wonder? Let's go. Let's go. Coming down the end here. Oh, look at that. It looks ridiculous. Anyway. Fill that in. Steady hands, steady hands. Well, man, there's a couple of pixels. There's a couple of pixels we want to fill in. Otherwise, not too bad. Export as empty. I have this desire, I don't know why, but in my head I've got this desire for the UI to not really have like much text. It's just images. I mean, that is most UIs anyway, right? Obviously for the menus that's not going to be possible, but for a lot of stuff I think it's just better if it's a picture. No weapon. Empty. Okay, so then we want to come back up to the weapon manager and we're sort of baking in that empty slot, which is actually the second slot, but we'll move it up and no weapon is 0 now. Interestingly, it's kind of like, I guess you probably won't start with a weapon. This is more of like a game where you go and collect things. So yeah, that's actually pretty much exactly what we're going to want it to do. I think we're good. Still, in the selection wheel, I do want to do a little bit of protection because here we've got the, we make sure that there's a weapon icon, but up here we don't at the moment. So I do think that it's worth doing just in case I forget to add one in. I'd rather it just not show than have the game crash, if that makes sense. I just think that's nicer. Like, I'll work it out, don't worry. Because I won't see it. I'll be like, oh, there's no icon for that weapon. Because I didn't add one. Rightio. That's an element of the UI. Let me go back to no weapon. And yeah, interesting. I've still got a block in the code for selection 0 return, which we don't need anymore. We can just delete it. Okay, so I'm happy with that behavior. I think that's good. Good enough. There's some weirdness with the 0. And that's a lot to do with the UI. Not the UI, the HUD. Which I don't know if we'll be able to fix, to be honest. This is primarily because of the sub viewport layer. I don't know how to make it stop doing that. It's like it's baked into its memory. Like the weapon isn't even, is it because it's up right now? What if I reset the animations? That's literally where it is. Okay, just hide it. And can we reset its transform? Like, what the hell? What about now? Yeah, okay, that's better. And the only other thing that I really want to do is for these no weapon animations, they're too long. So like when you press a button, it takes a second for anything to happen because nothing happens until the animation is finished. Just make them short. There you go. It feels a lot nicer now. Now, at the moment, you can actually change weapons with the numbers 1 and 2, but I'm actually going to do away with that. So, according to this guy, according to the person that made this, the UI, this selection wheel doesn't work with only 2 options. So, I'll have to think about how to fix that. I don't want to think about it right now. I don't know. How long have we been going for? It's sort of not that long, eh? Only 2 hours. I want to go until 10 o'clock, so. But yeah. That is pretty much it. How'd you do it? Round menus aren't Godot's feature to my knowledge. Okay, I can take you over it. We can do a little quick summary. First of all, I followed this tutorial on how to make the actual UI elements. So like, I'm not like much with when it comes to like game math or like geometry math. It's not really my thing, but Squadron Studio has a really great tutorial and it's got 6.5k views. So it's definitely out there. We should all subscribe to him. And he's got a tutorial on how to actually create a radial menu like this. And then basically it ends, but it doesn't actually show you how to connect that stuff up. I mean, that's not that complicated. For me, it was really just a couple of signals at the end of the day. Like, fortunately for me, the weapon manager only requires a single function call to change the weapon, right? So we're all good in that regard. But you get that, and yeah, it's just, that's all it is. Here, I can show it here. I can demonstrate it. We got it working pretty good. The only thing I don't like about it now is if you've only got 2 weapons or 1 weapon, then nothing shows up, which doesn't look very good. But if we pick up some weapons, we see that the hands are actually no longer in the center. The hands were always meant to be in the center. I have to look at the way that I'm picking up weapons. I guess I'm pushing front. We can fix that. Let's make this big. A fallback square menu might fix that. Yeah, I need to like think about what I think would be best to display when there's only 2. I've seen a lot of ones. The way that I was originally going to do this was like with just UI. Like I was literally going to do it with textures, right? And in that case, it would just be like, you know how many weapons are going to be in the game, so you just like have them show up in specific slots. And if there aren't like, say you know that there's like 5 different weapons that you can collect, then you're only going to have like, you'll have 5 segments. And if you only had one of the weapons, it would only show up 1 segment. It should be able to have 2 radial. Yeah, probably. I need to look at the math. He basically said it doesn't work that great without more than 3. So don't do it less than 3. hang on a second. Let's just fix up the exit, aim down sights, reload, calculate reloads. I'm lost. I wanted to go to the add weapon, aim down sights, inspect. On, when we add a weapon, what do we do? On pickup body detected. Right, here we go. So, if body type is equal to weapon and pickup ready is equal to true, and what we do is we find the current weapon slot and we insert at the current weapon slot. I think it's probably better if we just put it at the end. So basically what I was trying to do here is that I was always trying to make it so that the weapon you just picked up is directly across from the last weapon. But I don't think that's going to work anymore. Rather, instead, we are just going to go weapon. So we would go weapon index. It's really, could we just replace that with -1? -1 would be the end, right? So we just put it at the end of the weapon stack, right? And then this is an unused variable, I believe. So we can just comment that out for a second. And then that way things should work a little bit better. Assuming it wraps. Yeah, I guess it doesn't because that didn't work. Just do append, yeah. Good call. Well, append. Less than 3 buggy seems like a math or an array bug. Always annoying when you want a variable circle type array, yeah. And then now our hand is in the center for empty. And then we've got all the different weapons that you can pick up. And they seem to be mapped to the correct weapon. And we can do our like changing weapons on this, which is pretty cool. So yeah, well, let's see what happens. That is just like this here where it says if the options of, if len options, you could just option size. I don't know why I did that. Let's just change it to 2. I would say if you only have 1, don't even show it. You know what I mean? Like, why bother? A warp wrap function for dealing with these numbers? Yeah. Anyway, let's just change that and see what happens. I can see... Right, so the issue is not so much the actual radial menu. It does look a bit strange. Just for information purposes. What I would do is probably we go back to the dummy option. You just create a couple of empties, but adding and removing them from arrays is kind of like not that good. But yeah, I don't know. It's something to think about for the future. The problem is not displaying it. The problem is calculating the selection. Because the way that the calculation is selected is by like checking where the mouse is. Yeah, it's not that bad, but I think the selection was a bit buggy. Right? Like it wasn't always, it doesn't know where to select. It doesn't, you know what it is? It doesn't highlight the selection properly. So when you are selecting it, it can't tell. Like it's not telling you that. So something to work on there. Not the end of the world though. Pick them all up. What happens if I pick this one up? Because this one doesn't have an image. It just goes blank. See, and I think that's better than what was doing before where it was just crashing. I'm getting a load of warnings. Oh yeah, look at that. What are they? Selection wheel, invalid polygon data, triangulation failed. Ah, right. This is what I was saying. It wasn't drawing the selection. Now you have scrollable slots within the slots of your Now to have scrollable slots, yeah, it's a whole thing, right? That might require more work. I'm kind of an idiot, so we might, I don't know if we'll be able to go beyond that, but create a cursor. Technically there is a cursor. It's just not visible. But yeah, the highlighting doesn't work because I guess the radius is like not right. I don't know. Anyway, we'll work on that another time because the stream is now coming to an end because it is 10 p.m. and I have to go to sleep in order to work tomorrow. But it's been fun. Is that? No, we wanted to go to live streaming. Yeah, well, I don't know. Well, I'll have to think about the next stream because I'm trying to make them like more content based. So I don't know if I want to just, because like the last ones I've just been like for a week just working on the same thing and I don't think it's very interesting. So I don't know. We'll think about how I want it to work. Either way, let's raid Twitch. Let's raid. I still don't fully get raiding. Godot. I guess it's nice to give other people viewers. No worries, NA Games. It's always great to have you here. Helping me debug my stuff. Who do we want to raid? Valtac TV, you look weird. 130 viewers, that's not Godot. I don't recognize anybody here. Oh, Italian. No, that's Spanish. Got excited for a second. Overlay development, testing, method, welcome. Uptime 1, software developer. I guess we'll go here. This is 3D, so that's good. All right. Get out of here, you guys. Hello and goodbye. Ricky Ricardo. Hey, I haven't seen you in a bit. How you doing, man? Or I haven't heard from you. You might have been lurking. That's okay. Alrighty, guys. Goodbye. Good night. Oh, wait. I forgot to do the shout out.
Centered.
Oh, well. Thanks to my Patreons. Hang on a second.
Yo, chaff.
Well,
From
just
Raiders.
meet. Whoa, what? Jips, Holy Hazard, Color Pants, Rab, Big Green, Nike, Jace, Brickety, YGG, Scoremonger, Mr. Sparkle, and Oh Yeah Dude. I like that one. I saw that come up the other day. I was like, that's a nice name. Alright, guys.